I'm trying to figure out if the Bucks, Bo, are too old or just old enough to squeeze something out. I can't figure them out.
It is amazing how quickly it feels like we forgot them. They got Damian Lillard about almost like 12 months to the day from where we're standing right now. And with the injuries they had in the postseason, it's easy. Like, they basically, in our minds, I feel like became non-factors. I don't feel like we ever really got a very good look, because also, let's not forget, they fired their coach a week and a half into the season or whatever that was. I feel like I still don't know what exactly this thing is. What I do know is Giannis is not young anymore. He is not old, but he is not young anymore. Damian Lillard pushing against old. Chris Middleton, and I think this is the most important part, I don't think can be the player that he was. Like, physically, I don't know if he's going to be able to give you enough to be the player that he was. And so I don't know what to make of them. But who do you think is the best player in the East? Because I think it's probably still Giannis.
I don't think there's any question that it's Giannis, right? I don't trust Joel Embiid from not just 82 games plus a playoff run. And don't get me wrong, Giannis has had some playoff absences too, but I'm still trusting him when it counts a lot more than I'm trusting Joel Embiid.
Jayson Tatum?
No. That sounds bad, doesn't it? That Jayson Tatum has done all the things that we've asked of superstars to do, right? Can you mature on the floor? Can you play within the context of a team? Can you deliver when it counts? He's actually done those things, and we still won't give it to him because there's some element of this that we still have yet to buy into. I'm trying to figure out what that thing is, Bo.
It's the feeling that when things are going well for him, he's just having a good night, right? As opposed to he showed up and decided this is what's going to happen. It's like, case in point, when Giannis put up, 49? And hit all those free throws?
All of them.
Some guys can do this, right? And I've talked about this more and more. Focus is a skill and focus is a resource. And because he locked in, because he made all the free throws. That was the big thing about it, is that he gave in and he locked in and made all those free throws. LeBron gave the oeuvre of LeBron game sixes, where his career seemed like it was on the line every day for 3 years. And so it was the game 6 against Boston where he had a 40-something point triple-double. He showed up that day and decided this is just what it's going to be, right? Nothing you do is going to stop this. When it happens with Tatum, it just feels like, wow, his shot's falling. Whether it's right or wrong. But he did not win this, he created this Eastern Conference Finals MVP. He didn't win that. He didn't win the Finals MVP. I feel like this year we're going to see something. And I don't feel like you have to be motivated by negativity, but guys in that position normally take what his offseason was like, and not getting those awards as a bit of a slight. Jaylen Brown not making the Olympic team. Probably you would think that he would treat that as a slight coming back. So maybe we get a different version of Jayson Tatum, who I believe now at this point is still just 27?
I think he's 26, right?
Yeah.
I don't think he's that he's sneaky. I would say sneaky old, but he's at a point where we don't have to call him 19 anymore. You know what I mean? No. Like he's been at least 7 years. He's 26. He'll be 27 during the season. And for me, because he doesn't have that one singular on-floor skill that elevates you above your peers, that like you count on focus as a skill, and I agree with that. I think of focus more or less as a construct of team. Like, can a team lock in for an extended period of time? Like the Bucks, I think, straddle that, right? The Bucks will tantalize and tease you this year. They will give you nights and stretches where they're like, oh man, they can beat anybody because Dame will be hitting, Giannis will do all the things that Giannis does, and Chris Middleton will have some nights, and then you have the rest of the guys doing it. The problem with a team like the Bucks is, can you sustain that for a long period of time? And singularly, also for Jayson Tatum, my question is, can you be the reason that your team doesn't lose this game?
Right.
And I don't think I've ever come across, maybe it was the game 6 a couple of years ago against Milwaukee in the second round series that they won. They wanted to go into the conference finals and losing to Miami, where I felt like he took the team on his back on the road. They lost game 5 at home. I think they went to Milwaukee and won game 6, and he had a spectacular game. That's the one instance that I can think of with him, where the stakes were really down, like the instance that you're talking about. But I wonder if he has that element of jump on my back. I know y'all don't have it tonight. I'm going to have it tonight. And all I need y'all to do is just give me a little something.
Right. And look, there's the game. What was the game 7 against Philly where he scored like a zillion
50.
points?
Yes.
Yeah. I knew it was a huge number. So we don't want to imply that he's never shown up in these moments. But even then, it didn't feel like, now granted, that was a giant blowout, so it wasn't going to feel like that, really, like in the scheme of that. But it didn't feel like Jayson Tatum's here and we not going to lose, boys. And there's something to be said for having that quality. And I think and look, maybe he'll give us the performance that demonstrates that, right? I don't feel like I have ever seen it.
Well, I'm trying to think of a player, regardless of how long it took him to get a championship. We've had players deliver performances. Even LeBron, before he got that championship in 2012, we saw the games and the moments, even if his team lost, that he literally took the team on his back. Like there was the game against Detroit. There was a game against Boston, right? The next year, they didn't win that game, but he was going head up with Paul Pierce against a 66-win Celtics team that was far and away better than everybody else, and he took them to 7. Like, you don't have to win a championship to have that quality, but I feel like waiting on that moment, that one moment that you're talking about, I felt like we saw it earlier from other historic players, whether they won a championship or not.
Right, and what makes this Boston team so interesting is that they built a team where this doesn't really come up. Like they're so loaded that it's so loaded that it doesn't even matter. Like I don't think any of us have ever believed that Jaylen Brown was good enough to be the best player on a championship team. And we had questions about whether Jayson Tatum is good enough to be the best player on a championship team. But what has been demonstrated is that the two of them can be the two best players on a championship team under a circumstance where they have a third player who actually might be more talented than they are, right? Which to me feels somewhat similar to the 04 Pistons in the sense that, now I would say that Brown and Tatum on your high end are probably higher end players than the high end guys for 04, right? Yes. But when you have something like when you got Chauncey Billups and you got Ben Wallace, but the most talented starter is Rasheed Wallace.
Yes.
I feel like that's kind of similar to what happens with having Porzingis with the Celtics, where I feel with confidence that he's the most talented player they have. And the advanced numbers he put out last year were kind of out of sight.